Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot. Welcome to today's reading. I am going to take something that has come out in so many of your emails and notes to me recently. Some of you are still writing notes and just asking questions, or one of the things that really pops out for me here, especially over the last 24 to 48 hours, is this something that sounds almost exactly like, I wish this had never happened to me. what why is this happening? What do I have to do to get out from under it? So we're going to go ahead and take a look at this soulmate situation that's happening, why it's happened, and maybe what could make things a little bit easier for you as you're going through it. Because after all, that's what we're after. You want to learn the lessons, but maybe have a little bit better of a time doing it. So it will be a reading for the collective. General reading won't resonate with everybody, shouldn't resonate with everybody, but if it does resonate with you, then maybe take a look at some of the other videos since they're all very much connected, and then maybe also think about subscribing. So we're going to go ahead and start with the energy that is flowing in the background between the two of you in particular, because there's something that has been, we did the reading around frantic energy. We had the reading around the new moon, and we know that there's kind of an unsettled change energy sort of going on right now. But let's go ahead and get a current read on that, so that what I'm always asking for here is this kind of, what's the context with which we're going to be able to take the rest of the reading that comes out. So that's really another way to ask this question. What's in that backdrop, that emotional backdrop? So we got the Six of Swords in the reverse. Things won't slow down. Nine of Swords in the reverse. But you're actually doing kind of an okay job dealing with it. This is like a person who's having an unexpected good day. And in this case, it's the energy between the two of you being a little bit better than, maybe a little bit better than the way it has been over the last couple days. And we know it's been pretty frantic and wild, but there's still a lot of this, hey, I feel like I can't get out of this. But there's almost a feeling of not thrashing against it anymore. The Tower. Aha, we're getting close to something. We're getting close to, there's been a lot of resistance to this tower. Okay, so it looks like we're getting to a point where something actually is sort of significant is going to happen. So I made the comment, I can't remember if it was in, and it was either yesterday or the day before, but I can't remember if it was in the YouTube reading or the extended reading, but it was about how somebody commented that another reader had said this was going to be a fairly low-key month, and that they were not necessarily having that low-key experience. Part of that, I think, is because, and I mentioned that I could totally respect what that other reader was saying, because I kind of think I know what they meant. But this is about, like, this has been revving up to this point, and now here's where the change happens. There have been a couple of weeks of kind of not seeing a lot of actual change, but the tension has been rising, the pressure has been rising, and now we start to see your person moving back your direction. Started seeing that a couple of days ago. We're starting to see giving in to the fact that change is going to happen, not necessarily giving in to the change itself. But it's kind of, there's a little bit of a coming to peace with it, even though there's not a sense of energy having slowed down. With the Six of Swords, things still feel like they're moving a little too quickly for comfort. And with that Nine of Swords, though, it's like, you know what, you're okay with it. You're rolling with the vibe. I mean, it's not necessarily a fun vibe, especially with the Tower. I dropped one, but it fell face down. You guys know I'll use them if they fall face up and want to be part of the reading. I'm all for it. Okay, so I talked about being good to go with the vibe, and this is the card that came to mind when I said that. It's got that Five of Wands kind of feeling where in the reverse, the Five of Wands is about not struggling. It's about not creating an additional challenge. It can be very going with the flow, and that's the feeling that I get from it here. With the Queen of Wands in the reverse, though, I also feel like it's like taking a foot off the accelerator, you know, so not necessarily putting a foot on the brakes, but taking a foot off the accelerator. There's a sense here of getting ready for something and feeling more and more ready for something. Thought we had another one there. And I thought it was like a Pentacles sort of card. I'll bet it was. It had that same Pentacles look to it. So we've got the Eight of Pentacles here. Eight of Pentacles is a feeling of, it's an emotional self-mastery, but it's like comparing yourself to what you used to feel like. And remember, this is a shared energy, so you both might be kind of feeling it. This is what's in that backdrop. You have the Seven of Wands saying, I'm not really sure how this is going to go, but I don't have a lot of illusions about it being perfect. The Eight of Pentacles saying, but I'm ready to walk into it. So there's a sense of being more whole and prepared, using some of this healing that's been happening. And I feel like that's both of you. Both of you have had some really good healing going on that now you're able to parlay into more of a real situation. You're going to be able to use some of what you've learned. I don't necessarily know that it's going to be comfortable to use what you've learned, but I do get the sense you're going to do well with it. You're going to, in the moment, do well with it. This is you not passing out while speaking in front of a large group or whatever your equivalent of that is. A lot of you are, and a lot of you and your people are headed towards something that really is outside that comfort zone, and it's going to be cathartic. The returns on this are going to be greater than you might anticipate. Here we have that Six of Swords again, though. It's that same sense as we see with the Six of Swords over here. And then these aren't part of it. This Six of Swords is about things really not slowing down, but it's almost like things will be better if they do not slow down. I am getting the sense that things will be better if they do not slow down. I'm not sure why that is, but it is kind of, did I cover one? It is kind of an important feeling. There's a sense of things not slowing down because that momentum really kind of helps to keep you going, but be prepared because there is a tendency toward burnout. A tendency toward burnout and a tendency toward thinking that you're going to be able to handle it, but not necessarily giving yourself the appropriate nurturing. So oftentimes the Emperor card comes through mostly just talking about masculine energy, but in this case it talks about masculine energy with regard to or with respect to feminine energy. So it's saying, hey, you've done a great job balancing out some of your own masculine energy, and so has your person. However, you may still find yourself a little bit lacking in the area, working on that feminine energy. And if that's the case, then it may be, you may notice that when you get to a place feeling like you're close to burnout. You may not be taking care of yourself well enough. So something to think about. Just make sure that as you do ask more of yourself, that you're also being willing to provide for yourself. And I cannot give your person this advice, but it sounds like it would be ideal advice for both of you. So I guess let's go ahead and get into really what's happening in this energy. You know, it was the question that I was, the sentiment in the email that I was receiving, or the note that I was receiving in multiple ways from several of you was, I don't understand, you know, this seems like I got to be able to figure out how to get out from under this. I wish this had never happened. So much frustration, so much not knowing which direction to go, so much just pressure that seems like it has built. And we see here that it looks like some of that pressure looks like it might be getting ready to release. And we know that we've been seeing it for a while, but sometimes when you're just in that pressure, knowing that the relief is coming is not good enough. So let's look a little bit more into the relationship itself and just kind of see what else is happening here. And then, of course, we'll get you some advice and where you should be focusing. Knight of Wands. All right, so it's so much back and forth. It's driving both of you into this sort of mindset. Nope, that's not supposed to be part of it. Okay, well, I guess if it is, then it will come back out. We have, we definitely seen that sometimes where I pull one out and I'm like, nope, nope. Oh, here we go. It just happened. I thought it wasn't supposed to be part of it. And I have total faith. I know that I can put it back. And if it is supposed to be part of it, it'll come back out. Because I felt the feeling that came with it. And then I was like, no, it's not supposed to be in there. And I was wrong. I was wrong. Okay. So there's this sense of instability, but Okay, so remember a couple days ago, if you guys have been with me, and the thing is, I can never remember if it is the YouTube or the extended, so I'll just put that out there now. But I talked about this tower coming down and not necessarily needing to come down all the way to its foundations. Like the tower comes down, the lightning strikes, the pieces fall, and then you're able to use some of those pieces to build up the next version or a newer, improved version of it. Okay. So the Temperance card speaks to that foundation, that piece that did not need to fall. Okay. It speaks to the part of the relationship that I sometimes refer to as having gotten in on the ground floor. That ground floor, if you think about it in the context of the tower, is that foundation and that place that doesn't need to be rebuilt, because that part, that bond makes it that way. So this is actually really kind of cool. But with this Knight of Wands, it's that in and out, back and forth kind of behavior, or it can result in that behavior, but I think a lot of you just aren't hearing much at all and are mostly feeling it. And it shows up as a form, in the form of that frantic energy, the pressure from the new moon, which is considerable pressure to try something new, do something new, get outside that comfort zone. That's kind of coming from multiple places for you here. And then we have the High Priestess. This is all about that connection with your higher power and your higher self that you are hopefully cultivating, because the readings keep saying you're going to need it. Here is where you need it, okay? This almost feels like advice, because it feels kind of like the message is, now that you have cultivated this is a great time to use it. It's going to help you bridge between the solid pieces in that foundation to the needs that you have as you're rebuilding this tower, despite the fact that this is like, this in and out is happening really quickly, and it's almost like this is your person's energy, and it's almost like they can't stop, can't stop, can't stop. It's like a muscle that can't stop spasming is what wants to come to mind. And it's not pleasant for either one of you, you know. I mean, it feels like a lot of pressure, and this is a time where burnout already feels like it's imminent, and the energy kind of won't stop. Page of Wands. Here's the thing, though, that you guys are, and I've talked about this in several other readings, you guys are building, your energy comes from partially this relationship, okay? You have the capacity, this relationship makes its own energy to a certain degree. And you have the capacity to utilize and some of that energy. It's in the spiritual portion of the relationship. It sometimes is needed just to deal with the 3D portion of the relationship. So here we have the Temperance card in the reverse, which is literally the reason why I felt like that was not supposed to be part of the reading. So thank you, universe. I feel so connected with this message right now. It is kind of unbelievable. So anyway, this Temperance in the reverse, what this is about is not having built the patterns yet, not having built the patterns that will ultimately lead to a day-to-day balance, which is why I kind of rejected that card earlier when it first came out. Those patterns are not there, and I was kind of like, nope, that doesn't match with the foundations. And it matches totally with the foundations piece, but the message is difficult to kind of talk through, and it didn't feel like that was the way we were supposed to talk about it. But we're going to talk about it with the Temperance card in both decks. Anyway, this kind of, there's that tower again. I was just about to say, this kind of change leads to pretty tumultuous emotions. And here we have it again. So make no mistake, even though it is an intense situation that knocks this tower down, and we've got some elements that don't fall because you got in on the ground floor and those pieces of foundation are solid and don't need to go anywhere. This is still a tumultuous change, and it's a lot of emotion. That's what you've been feeling. That's what this frantic piece is about. A lot of you are confronting something new, either within yourself or out in the world. There's something that you're actually doing that's going to pull you right outside your comfort zone. So with the Six of Wands, this has this has a couple of meanings. First off, it's a little bit like the world, where you are coming to the end of a cycle, only in that it's similar to the world, because it feels like you're wrapping something up. This is victory at the end of a long battle. So the difference between this and the world is that the world would be like, this is the end of the battle and the world is the end of the war. But this is definitely the end of a battle, and there's some kind of hill the two of you have both crested. Okay, we know there's been a lot of really intense change on individual parts, for both of you, but not necessarily a lot of partnership as a result of it. And so, or not a lot of good communication as a result of it. Some of it has started to even out, but with many of you, the communication is still incredibly lacking. The emotion, however, is not. There is almost like I'm feeling Six of Cups. I don't have it out yet, but I'm kind of feeling that too, because this sun is not necessarily about how they're feeling now. It's not happiness now. It's an association that both of you are making. So there's a certain day or a time period. In some cases, it's longer than a single day, but there's a time period where both of you hearken back to that same time period and think about how incredibly happy you were, and you don't see a path to get back to it, but there's a lot of emotion that was wrapped up in that, a lot of vulnerability that was wrapped up in that. And we already know from some of the recent readings here, there's a connection with your person, and an increasing amount of vulnerability that will change your communication if you're able to have it. But the problem is, in a lot of cases, they're not being very communicative. There's a lot of disappointment in the energy. You're getting kind of the raw edge of a lot of very challenging experiences or emotions that are going on. So there's disappointment, there's frustration. That's where this frantic piece is. It's a white hot sort of anxiety that shows up, and it's really just terrifying. It's one that you're going to have to ride out. Like it's a definitely not a, what did somebody say? It was like this, like you just knew you were on a roller coaster ride when the anxiety attack hit, and there was nothing you were going to be able to do about it except just sit through it. And I felt so bad for that person, because I know exactly what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. And I think there's a lot of folks here that know what you mean. A lot of people who would understand that. It's there's a lot of anxiety that gets brought on by this situation. And then we have the Eight of Cups, and both the Eight of Cups and the Nine of Cups, both of them coming out in the reverse. I'm feeling more of that frustration, because it's like I've gone on the soul searching mission. Both of you feel like you've done some of that soul searching. Probably, in all honesty, not truly enough. There's probably more that has to happen here. But at this point, there's a sense of being tired. There is a feeling like there's actually an ability to be incredibly successful in a new endeavor right now, okay? And you're being pushed in that direction. But there's also this kind of tiredness in the background from already going through so much of what you've already gone through. And now you see a cycle repeating. You see a cycle repeating in the big picture. You see a cycle repeating in the relationship itself. We recently looked at that. And we see a sense of everything that isn't happy right now gets compared with that time that was. That's coming out very strongly, and it shows up a little bit in this feeling of disappointment here with the Four of Cups. So I feel like when we get into the extended, we need to get into this a little bit more deeply, because their emotions are starting to bubble up. We've been seeing in the recent readings that there's a lot of emotion that they're unable to access. They've been unable to access, and yet they've got this vulnerability popping up. They've got this tendency to come your direction, and we already know from these readings and just from the way that it feels, this is not a healed version of them that's coming in. So let's go ahead and plan to look into their emotions when we get into the extended. The link is going to be down below if you go into like the extra information around this reading. For now, though, let's look into the recommendations for you. Where do you need to be focusing, given what else is out here on this table, what else has come up in this reading, and just kind of given, some of you ask, so how do I get out from under this? So what does that look like? You may have tried to walk away, may have tried to redirect some of your energy, which is what you were recommended to do, not necessarily to walk away, but to to kind of pivot and redirect some of your energy into some other things. You've done that and you're finding that it's not making the pain go away. So here's the thing. I'm not convinced it makes the pain go away as quickly as that. I think it takes some time, and it takes, you get to a place where you realize, oh my goodness, I'm thinking about this person with a little less frequency than I was. But at this point, you're mostly, so at this point, you're kind of, your focus, and this is where it's saying your focus should be, is on the edges of your healing. So where are the places, we know you've done a lot of healing. We've seen it. We've heard all about it, heard about it again here. Where are the edges of that healing? Where are the places where your healing kind of, you got this far, but no farther? Those are the pieces that are going to be coming out for you right now. And I feel like that's your area of focus. This is supposed to feel like a raw ride right now. This is a time of truth. It's a time of extreme truth for you. It is a time for you to face the truth, face the music, and just lie there and be in it. You don't have to do much of anything in this energy. Yes. Don't do, just feel. That's basically what this is. Let this truth roll over you. Let it roll through you. And you kind of roll with the vibe like we were talking about here. This is a good energy in which you would be able to kind of do that. Okay, so we've got doesn't mean don't do anything. And yeah, so here we have the Knight of Swords. This is a great time for you to get caught up on something. Like, get caught up on, some people are still trying to get caught up on work since they got back after the break. There was a break that happened, in the tail end of the year, and they're still trying to kind of get back in the saddle again. This is a great time for that. It's a great time to kind of dive into something that is an existing piece of work, because it helps to balance out the new opportunities that are coming in. It's nice to have a little bit of something that you already understand all the rules, and we know that there are new things kind of coming. Five of Swords, there's going to be a tendency toward consternation, toward possibly overthinking, toward possibly doing the right things, for maybe not for the right reasons, or maybe even in some cases, depending on what sort of mood you're in, not doing the right things, doing wrong things. And what you need to really do is look to see, like, are you doing, this has that sense of, I'm winning for the sake of winning, not because it's that important to me otherwise. It's just being an at any cost sort of energy. The Three of Cups. Okay, so we talk about sometimes there being third party energy on both sides of this equation, and this is third party energy on your side. So doesn't mean you're married, doesn't mean you're seeing anybody, doesn't mean there's anything special like that, but there is some kind of energy that occurs within your life. It could be from a social situation, or someone within your family or work, or someone within a place where you do work or volunteer work, or it could be any number of things. But some kind of issue is happening here. Something is not going well. Something's not going well with this Three of Cups, and you're finding yourself in a place to have to be diplomatic. With the King of Swords, you may be, this is where that Five of Swords kind of feels like that tendency for consternation or winning at any cost. Make sure you're walk the high road. Make sure you understand why you're doing what you're doing, and walk the high road, because this is a place where you're going to look back on this situation, and it is, we've talked about things that were coming that are going to have a greater impact on you than you might anticipate. This is one of those things. All right, so we've got the Four of Swords that fell out for us here. Reminds me very much of the feeling with that Five of Pentacles. You're about to, and here it is. There's the Five of Pentacles again. You're about to see the edges of your healing. This Four of Swords is in healing in the reverse. Things that have hurt you, things where you've lost ground. There may be places where you've previously done some work, but you've been torn down again in some places. And so you're going to find that, hey, I thought I already did some healing here. But the type of healing that you did was maybe from the outside and not necessarily from the inside. And so you've been torn back down from the inside is what it feels like. So it's the big three. It's that fear of rejection, abandonment, betrayal that all falls in with this Five of Pentacles, and these edges that you're looking to see on the lessons that you are at some point of learning. So these are not new things to you, but it is all about facing new truths and coming out ahead. So you do incredibly well in this energy. I really like the way this comes out with the devil in reverse. It's like you make progress and you know you've made progress. You're able to identify pretty much what progress you've made in this energy, and it's really glorious. I just, glorious is the only word I can think of to use in this context. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go into the extended. It is primarily going to start with where your person is emotionally, because we see that emotion bubbling up, but it's almost like a game of whack-a-mole. Like it comes up and then you try to get to it and then it goes back away. But it's like whack-a-mole for them too. That's an interesting thing that I think I'm picking up. So we're going to go ahead and look into that in the extended. Thank you so much for being here with me. I hope that you're able to join me over in the extended, get a little bit more of a sense of what's happening in your person's emotions. If not, then I will see you again in tomorrow's reading.